Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Trade Talks. I am really pleased to be joined today by Amanda Swanson from the Alaska Division of Agriculture and Elisa Daun from the Washington State Department of Agriculture. We're switching up our guests today a little bit on today's episode because these two ladies just got done managing the WUSATA Pavilion at the National Restaurant Association show. And we wanted to talk about what goes into the WUSATA Pavilion at a trade show because we do have pavilion presence at several trade shows throughout the year, both domestically and internationally. So today I wanted to sit down with Amanda and Elisa and really talk about the benefits of joining a WUSATA pavilion versus a company going to a trade show and exhibiting independently. So Amanda and Elisa, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having us.
This evening.
All right, we're going to dive right into our questions here. So, Amanda, let's start with you. For a small or mid sized agribusiness who's attending a major trade show, whether it's something like the National Restaurant Association show in Chicago or an international show, what do you see as the biggest advantages of them exhibiting within that WUSATA pavilion versus trying to navigate a trade show independently?
Some of the biggest advantages of exhibiting within the WUSATA Pavilion is that it gives you a larger footprint at the trade shows. When you go to the trade shows, there's some very big companies that are exhibiting there that have a huge footprint within the floor plan. Exhibiting within a pavilion is kind of a bigger draw for attendees who are at the trade show to come by that area and visit that area of the trade show. Sometimes at these trade shows, there are multiple halls and it's very large. So to make sure that visitors are coming to the hall that you're exhibiting in, it's beneficial to be within a pavilion that's going to have a bigger footprint at the show. And usually there's additional events that are occurring within the pavilion. Sometimes there's chef demos and other draws for attendees.
Yeah, that all makes sense. So, Elisa, from your perspective, I know trade shows can feel pretty overwhelming, especially for a small company who's maybe new to exporting. So, how does the WUSATA Pavilion really help to create a more approachable environment and a supportive experience for exhibitors?
Yeah, I think for WUSATA exhibitors, we definitely wanted to create easy, convenient environment for companies to exhibit. We create that itinerary, and we also help them to set up the meeting matrix. We also, wanted to unify the pavilion for WUSATA companies, and basically just draw attention from the buyers that make sure that companies have the easy access to meet with international buyers. And such as the NRA show is such a big show for food service and ingredients, focus on a lot of decision makers. We're trying to ensure that companies has the opportunity to meet with all the buyers, and also trying to create more efficient and for companies to participate. And for example, the subsidized, from 33% from WUSATA for the booth cost, as well as the chef demo program. Basically is complimentary. And then sometimes we also create, in-market transportation costs, for complimentary. We all help companies to unify the booth design. All these really create a lot of opportunities and advantages for companies to participate.
Having all of those extra resources provided, especially for a small business who maybe doesn't have all those resources on hand, is really, really useful. Being able to offset booth costs and have someone help with the design and connections to buyers and that kind of thing all sounds really great. So, Amanda, how does being part of this unified regional pavilion increase the credibility and visibility for a company at a show?
Being part of a unified regional pavilion, that kind of increases the visibility because, as Elisa mentioned, we with WUSATA will work with a designer, so all of the booth design is similar. It's got the similar branding and things that will really kind of stand out and differentiate ourselves from a lot of other exhibitors. And you still get to have your company, logos and branding on there as well, so that you're easily identifiable. But it's all kind of a cohesive look, which can draw attendees into there as well. And then as far as credibility, it shows that your company has support through WUSATA and USDA, which increases your credibility. And it kind of lets them know that if you run into any issues with like sample shipments or anything like that, then you have the backing of organizations like WUSATA, Food Export, NASDA, and other organizations who are there to help our companies.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think having that extra backup is
Right.
really, really useful, especially for a small business.
Mhm. And just wanting to add up one more though, because buyers often to come to the whole booth, they do know that this is actually the destination rather than just a standalone booth. So, and they can meet, companies that, all have different products, from the Western region. And this, which actually, they give buyers feeling that, the company's already been passing through those vetting process and then has a professional background. So that will give a lot of confidence, to the buyers too. So they like to meet with companies in a group of delegations actually meeting in the pavilion rather than just
Mhm.
a standalone booth.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Just that extra layer of credibility and buyer confidence is really important.
Right. And we help with the introductions. Then we also put together like company profile brochures and things like that that the buyers can take with them as follow up. So they have all of our company contact information. And we're able to provide our companies with information about the buyers and contact information as well.
Yeah, that's great. Just extra resources all around. Elisa, can you talk a little bit about the networking advantages that come from being surrounded by other Western US brands at a trade show and participating in that really coordinated pavilion experience?
They're meeting with not only one company, and they sometimes, they actually find out, unexpected, product that really fits what they need. And then they wanted to, spend there more time and to, discuss with companies, and then for future collaborations. But also this advantage, networking, within the group, within the pavilion also give a more advantage for companies that they, how to say, they do horizontal networking. So basically, sometimes they find out they're working with company, find out more potential collaborations with the company themselves, even more, maybe beneficial because they learn from each other. They share those potential market insights and then their knowledge from different markets to each other. And they also build up some network for the future if they could collaborate and then potentially they have some business going on company to company. So that I think that's a big advantage too.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think when we think about going to a trade show from a company perspective, you're there to meet buyers, but having that extra layer of also being able to collaborate with the other companies that are there and learn from each other is such a valuable opportunity. Of course, WUSATA is primarily supporting small businesses. So, for
Mhm.
companies with more limited marketing budgets or those smaller teams, how does exhibiting with the WUSATA Pavilion help to really maximize their investment and reduce some of that logistical burden that comes with attending a large trade show?
I actually really love this question because we do work with a lot of small companies that have limited staff. And that's where you can really utilize WUSATA because we have experienced project managers who are there at the show and help with all of the logistics and planning that happens before the show. There's really a lot that has to go into exhibiting at these trade shows. There's a lot of tasks that you have to take care of before the show, like the booth design, booth layout, having access to booths in certain locations, the floor plan. We work with the contractor to get, ideal locations. There's different companies you have to work with for setting up the booth, as far as the carpet, the furniture, electrical needs. If you have a product that needs refrigeration or freezer equipment, there's forms you need to complete for product sampling, hand washing stations, different things like that. And then, especially if there is a trade show where there's additional benefits like the buyer meetings and registering for those, providing all your company information. So the project managers are there to help organize and manage all of this. And also to keep our companies on track, reminding them of important deadlines, things that they need to take care of. We have contacts with shipment consolidators. So getting product to the show is very important, of course. And we work with consolidators to lower costs for our companies to get their product there. We're then coordinating with the shipper to make sure it arrives in the right place and if it goes to cold storage or refrigeration if it needs to. If you're a small team, especially if it's that time of year where you're attending multiple trade shows and you're really just kind of maxed out on your capacity, that's where you can really utilize your project managers to assist you with preparing for these trade shows.
Yeah, just having those extra hands to help makes a
Yeah.
ton of sense, especially for a small
Mhm.
business with a small team. Like
Right.
you said, there's a ton that goes into getting a company to exhibit at a trade show
Right.
and a lot of things to consider. So those extra hands really go a long way. So, Elisa, how does a pavilion environment like WUSATA's pavilion really help to spark conversation and connections that these exhibitors might not have made on their own if they were exhibiting independently?
Buyers, either international buyers or domestic buyers, when they come here, I think, buyers not just rarely visit just the one booth in the pavilion, because that unified signage and also the banners definitely draw the attention, and buyers coming in, they're not just only talking to one company, because they have the exposure to the companies, really next to each other, and they found out, oh, this is the product, I never seen that before. So they wanted to tasted sampling them, and then they wanted to chat more, and maybe they found out unexpected products that they never seen before. So that's actually give a lot of advantage, or the spark conversation going on for companies. Really strongly suggested companies could participated with within the pavilion, because also they meet sometimes the buyer's delegation, also not just a single buyer coming from different markets, but because the buyer delegation also created a lot of opportunities, a lot of conversations and discussions with companies within that area. So that would definitely trigger a lot of potential businesses.
It sounds like a lot of great opportunity to spark extra conversation and have those increased opportunities for connection throughout the pavilion experience. So, on my last question, I'd love to get both of your perspectives on this. What would you say to a company that is considering exhibiting at a major trade show for the first time, but isn't sure whether exhibiting with the WUSATA Pavilion is worth it?
Do it. Especially if it's your first time attending a trade show and you're not sure if it's going to be a good fit or not for your product, or a good show or a good location. I would definitely recommend using the WUSATA Pavilion, because between 3% that WUSATA can cover to help with the cost, and then the Fund Match program that reduces your financial risk. And so you have a chance to go and see the show, and not just exhibit, but walk the show as well, see what other type of companies are there, whether or not your product is a good fit. And like Elisa mentioned earlier, we're bringing in international buyers to meet with you as well. So you have guaranteed buyer meetings when you're at the show. You're not just trying to grab people who are walking by your booth. You're guaranteed meetings, and these are with pre-vetted importers that have experience. And so that really reduces the risk for companies when they are exhibiting within the WUSATA Pavilion. So there's tons of benefits to being part of the WUSATA Pavilion.
Yeah, as a first-time exhibitors, they can be very overwhelming. In terms of like Amanda just mentioned that logistics or exhibition booth cost, and then transportation, hotel lodging, and all those costs adds up for the first timer. And exhibiting with a WUSATA definitely lower those costs. Most lower the risk. Also maximizing those return of that experience, with exhibiting, in the large show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I think very good advice from both of you. I really appreciate all of the insights that you guys provided today on this call. I think that you really highlighted the benefits of joining a WUSATA Pavilion well. And for any companies out there who are looking to attend a major trade show, we've got an event calendar that I'll link with upcoming trade shows on our website. So you can check out any of those upcoming shows where we will have a WUSATA Pavilion presence. And reach out to us if you're interested. If you have any questions about joining a WUSATA Pavilion, or want to talk more about what these benefits are and how we can help support you at your trade show to really maximize your presence there and really help you along your export journey, we're happy to help. So, Amanda and Elisa, thank you again so much for joining me today. It's been great to have you on Trade Talks.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much, Tiffany, for having us.